The morning started like any other in our narrow two-bedroom apartment in the heart of Ayegunle, Lagos. The walls were peeling, the ceiling fan groaned like it had arthritis, and the air reeked of soaked gari and kerosene fumes. But even in the noise and chaos of our compound, my mother always stood out, loud, beautiful, commanding. Mama Nkechi, as the neighbors called her. But to me, she was just mommy, my nightmare and my protector. I was only 17 then, slim, quiet, with big eyes that saw too much. I kept to myself, hiding behind books and chores, afraid to ask questions. But that morning, something was different. My mother stood by the window, holding a red gown. It was silk, expensive looking, not the type of dress that belonged in our home. Kamsi, she said, her voice unusually calm. Come here. I hesitated. She didn't use my name often, not unless it was serious. Wear this, she said, tossing the gown at me. I caught it midair, confused. Where am I going? She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled my hair back and began brushing it roughly, like she was angry with me. You'll meet someone today, she said, her voice low. A very important person. My heart raced. Why me? Who is he? She didn't answer again, just zipped up the gown on me and stepped back. Smile, Kamsi. A beautiful smile can open doors. By 4 p.m., we were in a car I didn't recognize. Sleek, black, smelling of foreign air freshener. The driver didn't speak. My mother didn't speak. I sat quietly, my knees shaking under the red gown. We stopped in front of a massive duplex in Lekki. I had never seen such a place in real life. Gold-plated gates, marble floors, a chandelier that looked like it belonged in a movie. My mother squeezed my hand. Do as I say, Kamsi. Don't ask questions. Just smile. Be nice. Be sweet. No matter what happens. She pushed the bell and stepped back. The door opened, and a tall, pot-bellied man in a white kaftan appeared. He looked like someone in his late 50s. Kamsi, meet Chief, my mother said. He'll take good care of you. Chief stared at me like I was a plate of jollof rice he'd been waiting all day to eat. I opened my mouth to speak, but my voice failed. He smiled. Come in, my dear. Mama gave me a slight nudge. I stepped in, and she didn't follow me. The door closed, and that was the moment my world, my innocence, ended. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part came when Chief handed me a glass of juice and said, Your mother didn't tell you the truth, did she? My hands trembled. What truth? I asked. He leaned in closer. She's not your real mother. My fingers tightened around the glass of juice, the coldness biting into my skin. My thoughts were screaming, but my lips refused to move. She's not my real mother, I echoed, finally finding my voice. Chief smiled, a knowing, almost sinister smile, and leaned back on the leather couch like he had just dropped something trivial. Drink your juice, Kamsi. You'll need it. But how could I? My legs were numb. My heart pounded with a force that hurt. I didn't know which fear was louder, the fear of being alone in a strange man's house, or the horror of that sentence. She's not your real mother. I had lived with Mama in Kechi my entire life. I knew her anger, her moods, her perfume, the slap that came without warning, but now I wondered if I really knew her at all. I don't understand, I whispered. Chief turned his head slightly toward me. You don't need to. Not now. The air between us grew heavy. He took the glass from my hand gently and placed it on the table. Then he stood up and walked toward the grand staircase that curved like a snake up to the second floor. Come, he said without looking back. I followed. My legs felt like wood. My feet sank into the thick, expensive carpet. Every part of the house looked like money, marble, gold, glass. Nothing like the cracked floors and plastic chairs in Ajegunle. He led me into a bedroom, spacious, air-conditioned. The curtains were velvet. A king-size bed sat in the middle, dressed in white silk sheets. I stood at the door, afraid to step in. Chief turned and looked at me. I don't want to touch you, he said calmly. Not yet. That yet sent a chill down my spine. You'll stay here tonight. Tomorrow your training begins. Training? I asked, the word tasting bitter on my tongue. He chuckled. Yes, my dear. You think this is about you looking pretty in a gown and smiling. Number, you'll learn how to please, how to perform, how to survive. I shook my head violently. No, I want to go home. Home? He raised the brow. That shack you came from. You still think it's your home? Tears stung my eyes. I ran past him, out the room, down the stairs, towards the front door, but it was locked. No handle, no key, just a solid wall of wood. Chief's voice echoed from the staircase, calm and cold. You're not going anywhere, Kamzi. Your mother already sold you. You belong to me now. I fell to my knees, sobbing, banging the door with my fists. How could she? Mama, the woman who used to braid my hair and buy me puff puff after school, the woman who shouted at neighbors for looking at me the wrong way. Was it all a lie? That night I didn't eat, I didn't sleep. I curled up in a corner of the room, trembling. The light stayed on, bright and unforgiving. Around midnight, the door creaked open. A woman walked in, tall, light-skinned, elegant, wearing a tight wrapper and a silk blouse. Her heels clicked against the floor as she approached. You must be Kamsi, she said, her voice like velvet. My name is Madame Clara. She studied me like I was meat in the market. I will be in charge of your transformation, she said. The way you walk, talk, smile, the way you use your eyes, your tongue, your body. I shrank back, hugging myself. I don't want this, I whispered. Please. She crouched down to my level and cupped my chin. You think we all wanted this? Life doesn't ask what you want, child. It gives you what it must. I slapped her hand away. She stood, straightened her blouse and walked to the door. But before she left, she turned and said, Oh, by the way, the woman you call your mother, she was once like you. I froze. She started there, same bed, same gown, same lies. The door closed behind her with a soft click. I stared into the silence, my heart breaking piece by piece. And then I saw it. On the dresser, a framed photo, a young girl in a red gown, barely older than me, smiling beside Chief. It was Mama. I stared at the photograph on the dresser for what felt like hours. My fingers trembled as I picked it up. The girl in the red gown was unmistakable, young, fresh-faced, but it was her eyes that gave her away. They were my eyes, wide, searching, trapped. It was Mama, but not the woman I knew. This one looked hopeful, almost innocent, and beside her stood Chief, a little slimmer, his beard black instead of grey. His hand rested on her lower back, possessive. A terrible realization dawned on me. I wasn't the first girl to wear this gown. I was wearing a legacy, a cycle, a curse. I dropped the frame. The glass shattered. Madame Clara returned almost immediately, her eyes flashing with annoyance. Why did you break that? I pointed at the photo, tears in my eyes. That's my mother. She raised a brow. And? You said she started here. What does that mean? What did he do to her? Clara leaned against the door, folding her arms. He made her a queen. I flinched. A queen? She smiled, amused. The kind that sells her soul for power, for money. You think she lives in poverty in Ajegunle because she has no choice? Number. She chose it. She took her money, left this life, and disappeared until she brought you back to replace her. The words hit me like a slap. Replace her? I whispered. I'm not her puppet. Clara laughed softly. Every girl says that in the beginning. She stepped forward, her heels clicking on the tile. Let me tell you something, Kamzi. There are three kinds of women in this world. The ones who sell, the ones who buy, and the ones who get sold. You're already sold. She tossed a small parcel onto the bed. That's for you. Wear it tomorrow. Training starts at 6 a.m. Then she left. I opened the parcel with shaky hands. Inside was a black lingerie set. Expensive, delicate, shameful. I threw it across the room and broke down in sobs. Why would Mama do this? Why bring me into the same hell she escaped from? The next morning came fast. I was forced to eat, bathe, dress. I didn't want to, but the fear of being locked up without food again was real. I sat silently in a mirrored room where Madame Clara began teaching me how to entice a man without speaking. I wanted to scream, to break the mirrors, but I held it in. I watched, I obeyed for now. Days passed, I lost track of time. Every day Clara taught me new tricks. Every night I cried myself to sleep. And still, Mama didn't come back. Then, one night, everything changed. It was around 2 a.m. I heard whispers outside my room. Low, urgent. A male voice. Then footsteps running down the corridor. A thud. A door slammed. Curiosity pushed me to the door. I pressed my ear to it. A key turned in the lock. I stepped back quickly, heart racing. The door creaked open. It wasn't Clara. It wasn't Chief. It was a young man, not more than 24. Slim, dark, eyes sharp like a hawk's. He put a finger to his lips. Shh! Don't scream. I froze. Who are you? I whispered. I'm here to help you, he said. My chest tightened with disbelief. Help me, he nodded. You don't belong here. I know everything about you, Kamsi. About your mother. About what Chief really does with girls like you. I stared at him, heart thumping wildly. How do you know my name? He took a slow step forward. Because I am your brother. Brother! The word echoed in my head like a drum beat, heavy and confusing. I don't have a brother, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Mama never, she never told me. He looked at me with eyes so familiar it hurt, eyes that reminded me of myself, of Mama, but sharper, wilder, as though he had seen more darkness than light. That's because she didn't want you to know, he said, stepping inside and locking the door behind him. I backed away instinctively. Don't come any closer. I don't know you. I understand, he said calmly, raising his hands. I didn't expect you to believe me just like that, but I can prove it. He reached into his pocket and pulled out an old creased photograph. My breath caught as I took it. It was Mama, younger, holding a baby in one arm, with a little boy beside her, maybe 5 years old. I was the baby, and the boy, my name is Chuka, he said. I'm your elder brother. Mama left me with our grandmother in the village when she brought you to Lagos. Said it was for my own good. Said she couldn't raise both of us in the city. My eyes welled up. I looked again at the photo. That boy was staring at the camera with so much life, so much trust. What happened to you? I asked, my voice cracking. His smile faded. Mama happened. He walked to the window, peeking out through the curtains. After she abandoned me, I grew up angry. I didn't understand why she never came back. I thought maybe she was dead, until I found out she was very much alive and had a daughter she paraded around as her only child. I didn't know what to say. My world, already broken, was now shifting again. I came to Lagos last year to look for her, he continued. But I found something else instead. I found Chief. I found this place, and I discovered the truth Mama has been hiding for over 20 years. He turned back to me. Kamsi, Chief isn't just a monster. He runs a network, a secret elite group of politicians and businessmen who pay millions for young, untouched girls. They're trained, groomed, and passed around like property. And your mother, she was one of the highest earners. No, I said, shaking my head, even though the puzzle pieces were already falling into place. Yes, Chuka said firmly. She was their queen until she got pregnant with you. My heart stopped. With me? Chuka nodded. She got pregnant during one of her assignments. No one knew who your real father was, not even Mama. She was told to get rid of you, but she refused, and that made her a liability. I clutched my stomach, as though trying to hold myself together. She disappeared, Chuka went on. Started a new life in Ajegunle, away from all of this. But it wasn't long before she ran out of money and desperation led her back to the devil. He looked me dead in the eye. And she sold you to repay her debt. I sank onto the bed, my legs giving way. My mother, my own mother, sold me to the same system she escaped. But why now? I asked. Why didn't she come back for me? Why didn't she stop it? Chuka looked away, his jaw tightening. Because she's not planning to. My hands gripped the bed sheets as reality sank in like a knife. Chuka knelt beside me. But I came here tonight to take you out of here. I've planned it. I know the guards, the security system, everything. But you have to trust me, Kamzi. I stared at him. My brother, the only blood I had left that hadn't betrayed me. I trust you, I whispered. He nodded, pulling a phone from his pocket and showing me a map. We leave at 2:45 a.m. There's a blind spot in the camera system. I'll disable it for 3 minutes. Once we cross the back fence, there's a bike waiting down the street. I nodded, memorizing every detail like my life depended on it. Because it did. As we whispered in the shadows, planning our escape, a strange sound interrupted us. Click. We both froze. The bedroom door creaked open again, slowly. Standing there was Chief. But it wasn't just Chief. Behind him was Mama. Her eyes were swollen, her lips trembling, and in her hand was a gun, to be continued.